All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about how a really simple idea, borrowed from one of the safest industries on the planet, can totally change your investment results. This is all about building a system to protect you from your single biggest enemy as an investor, yourself. So let's start with a number that's, well, it's pretty sobering. Study after study shows that a whopping 90% of active investors fail to beat the market over the long haul. Now, let's be clear, this is not a failure of intelligence, it's a failure of process. And that's exactly what we're here to fix.
I mean, just look at this contrast. It's wild. On one side, you've got the aviation industry. It's a marvel of safety and consistency, with a success rate of over 99.9%. On the other side, you have investing, where 9 out of 10 people underperform. So it begs the question, right? What do pilots know that investors don't? Which brings us to Section 1, a lesson from aviation. You know, the secret to aviation's incredible success isn't some super complex technology you've never heard of. It's actually much simpler and much more powerful than that. And here it is, the humble checklist. You know, this quote just nails a powerful truth. Checklists aren't for amateurs, they're for experts. They're a tool designed to manage all that complexity and to prevent those small, simple, emotional mistakes that even the most seasoned pros can make when they're under pressure. So, Section 2, the Master Buy Checklist. How do we actually put this idea to work for us? Well, think of this as your pre-flight inspection before you commit even a single dollar to an investment. This is your system for making smart, unemotional decisions about when to get in. Your checklist is basically built on these 4 pillars. Each one forces you to ask some really critical questions. First, is the business itself actually any good? Is it high quality? Second, is the management team running the show competent and are their interests aligned with yours? Third, is the price you're about to pay reasonable? And finally, and this is a big one, does this investment actually fit your personal goals and your tolerance for risk? Let's just pull out one question from that business quality section. This sounds so simple, but it's incredibly profound. If you can't explain what a company does and how it makes money in just a few simple sentences, you should probably just stop right there. You know, this question alone can save you from a world of hurt.
Okay, now look at this one from the personal criteria pillar. This has nothing to do with spreadsheets or financial models. This is all about your own psychology. If you answer this question honestly and the answer is no, well, you're just setting yourself up to panic sell at the absolute worst time. Answering this before you buy is one of the most powerful moves you can make.
All right, Section 3, selling without panic. We've talked about buying, which is the offense, but what about selling? That's the defense, and honestly, it's where our emotions can completely hijack the process. So how do we protect ourselves from our own panic and greed?
You guessed it, another checklist. The sell checklist is designed to do one crucial thing, to build a wall between logic and emotion. Think of it as a circuit breaker for your brain that stops you from smashing that sell button for all the wrong reasons.
And this right here is the most critical part of that sell checklist. It's the emotional state check. Notice something? None of these questions are about the company or the stock price. They're all about you. They force you to look in the mirror and ask, am I acting like a disciplined pilot right now, or more like a panicked passenger? And here's the beautifully simple rule that makes it all work. If you answer yes to any of those emotional questions, you do nothing. You wait 48 hours. That's it. This mandatory cooling off period gives your logical, rational brain time to catch up with your freaked out, emotional brain. It's a system designed to enforce patience when you need it most.
So why are these checklists so effective? Well, it's because they're a direct weapon against what are known as cognitive biases. These are just the built-in glitches, the mental shortcuts in our brain's wiring that cause us to make irrational decisions, especially when it comes to money.
Let's look at a classic example, confirmation bias. We've all done this. Once we decide we like an investment, our brain goes into overdrive, looking for any information that confirms we're right. And at the same time, it conveniently ignores anything that suggests we might be wrong. It feels good, but man, is it dangerous. So how do you fight something that's hardwired into your brain? You build the antidote right into your process.
This single question forces you to step outside your comfort zone. It makes you honestly listen to the other side of the argument. It's basically an intellectual stress test for your own ideas.
Okay, here's another big one, anchoring. This is when our brain gets stuck on a number, and usually that number is the price we paid for a stock. We tell ourselves, I just can't sell until I get back to even if the entire story for the company has changed. That original price is totally irrelevant now, but our brain just can't let it go. This is how you break free from that anchor. This one question forces you to evaluate the investment based on today's reality, today's information, and today's price, with zero regard for what you paid for it. It's like hitting a reset button for your brain. It completely resets your perspective. All right, section 4, building your system. We've covered the why and the what. Now let's get into the how. How do you actually go about creating and using your own investment checklist system? Here's a really simple 4-step plan to get started. First, customize. Take these ideas and adapt them to your own style. Second, create a consistent format you'll actually use, whether that's a simple notebook or a digital tool. Third, schedule regular reviews to look over your holdings. And fourth, track your results. See what's working and refine your checklist over time. And as you build your system, you gotta watch out for these common traps. Don't let your checklist get ridiculously long. That's checklist creep. Be brutally honest with your answers. Don't just fudge them to get the answer you want. Use it for every single decision, not just when you feel like it. And remember, it's a living document that should change and get better as you learn. And this might be the most important takeaway of all. Don't get paralyzed trying to make the perfect checklist from day one. Just start with something simple. A good process that you use consistently every single time is 1,000,000 times better than a perfect process you only use now and then. And this all leads to this really fascinating paradox. The emotional, impulsive investors, the ones who would benefit the most from a checklist, are the exact ones who dismiss the idea. Meanwhile, the most disciplined, systematic investors, the ones who you could argue need it the least, are the ones who use them religiously. Which brings us right to our final question, and this one's for you. The next time you're about to make a big investment decision, is it going to be guided by a calm, repeatable pre-flight check, or is it going to be driven by emotion, impulse, and all the noise of the market? The choice and the results that follow are entirely up to you.